Hello, event enthusiasts. Welcome to another exciting episode of Eva Talk by 10 Times. I'm your host, Radhika Basan, and today we have a fascinating topic on the agenda boosting SMB productivity and profits. We'll be exploring innovative strategies and insights to help small and medium sized businesses thrive in today's competitive landscape. Today, we are thrilled to have Benjamin Yee with us. Benjamin is the founder and CEO of Emerge, a cloud based workflow solution revolutionizing how import export distributors and traders run their business. Benjamin, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Radhika. I really appreciate this opportunity to be on 10 times and to basically share my experience on how Emerge and as well as 10 times has been trying to change the very traditional import and export distribution space for quite some time right now to make it a lot better and basically to put our thumbprint and our stamp print onto the economy, right? Trying to make it much better.
We've been trying to connect the, from organizers, exhibitors, speakers, visitors, all of them to, reach out to best of the events so that they can make best of out of their businesses. So here, Benjamin, it's totally an honor to have you here. Any starting words that you would like to start the conversation with?
Yeah, I'm really excited for this because I have been waiting for this opportunity since 2016. So,
oh my God, that's good.
We're trying to find something to work together with. And finally there's this platform that we could both contribute, right, to the social media scene. And now to our audience as well.
I'm glad that we could connect, and it's totally our honor. So, Benjamin, just to start with, could you start by telling us a bit about your journey and how you came to create Emerge, probably?
Okay. I'll be happy to do so. So when I started Emerge, right, it was because of a problem that I have been facing, right? Just like my advice to a lot of people starting business is to solve your own problem, right? So it all started off when I was still in school. So as you can see, I was still in school, so I'm kind of like underage, right? So I kind of used my mom's business entity to do some form of t-shirt distribution, right? As you know, schools, there are like clubs and societies, students union, and we print like tons of like marketing t-shirts on a month-on-month basis, right? How's it much better if we could produce it ourselves, right? So I kind of used entity because I was underage and that got us started, right? So we were printing t-shirts on a month-on-month basis and supplying to clubs and societies, right? And up to a certain point, I couldn't manage anymore, right? I needed to find a software to manage the workflow from quotations to sales to purchase. But mine then, right, it's at that point of time, it's very traditional, right? I needed to call a sales rep to come down to the premise, and after he did the demo, he said I have to buy a server, right? And I have to buy the subscription, and all comes up to about $5,000, right? Mind you, I'm just a small little micro business out there that's trying to survive, right? And I wouldn't be able to afford that. So I kind of just needed something that is $50 a month, 60, 70 at most. And at that point, there wasn't any out there, right? There wasn't SaaS for trading and distribution and all that. So I was thinking, if I'm going to build this, at least I would have one client, right? Which is myself. But if you can solve your problem, there are like millions of entrepreneurs that are in the same situation as you, right? Globally, not just in Singapore or in US. It's like literally global, right? So that's where we got started.
That is great. That's great. Great to hear the beginning story of Emerge. So, Benjamin, if we move to another question that I have in my head, and from your perspective, what are, as you said that, there were challenges that made you create Emerge. So, what do you think are your biggest challenges currently facing SMB importers, exporters, wholesalers, and traders?
Okay, I'm sure you have like interviewed tons of like industry expert in the supply
Yes.
chain few years,
Yeah.
right? So I'm not going to those specific nitty details like taxes, like custom clearance, political problems, and all that. I'm not going to do that. But let's just control what we can control, right? Which
Yeah.
are a business, and what does a business do? Either the top line or the bottom line, right? How much revenue that you're bringing in, and how much cost that you're controlling, right? This is
Yeah.
basically the backbone of business, right?
Yeah.
So in our space, right, we deal with trading and distribution business, thousands of them, right, over the
Yeah.
years. That we
Yeah.
found that a lot of them came from a sales background, right? So business development is the boss's like forte, right? It's like what they're
Yeah.
best at. So when they start a business, I wouldn't say all they care about, but majority of what they care about is on the top line, right? They believe in the mantra of sales cures everything,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So, or maybe because they don't have that capacity or that knowledge on managing other parts of the business. But yeah, don't get me wrong. I mean, sales kills all, right? If the business doesn't bring in money, there's no business to begin with,
Yes.
right?
Truly. Truly. Yeah.
Yeah, but a business is very much on the bottom line as well, right? In terms of cost control, in terms of how do you effectively uh, manage your shipments, how do you effectively manage your team from making mistakes, right?
Yeah.
So over the years, I mean, I wouldn't say we have helped, but we have prevented so many cases where there's theft in the company, right? Fraud in the company, and suppliers trying to do not so not
Yeah.
so happy, like those kind of fishy stuff, right? So
Yeah.
with once you use Emerge, everything is on the platform, right? Your sales, your purchase, the approval systems, the workflows within the
Yeah.
app itself. So once you do that, you will be able to manage your bottom line much simpler, right? So at the end, it's all about making money, right? Making more money. So yes, sales is important, the top line is important, but how do we manage the cost as well? That's
Yes.
also pretty important. So I guess that's the biggest uh thing that
Challenge.
I see. Yeah, the
Yeah.
challenge that I see in the SME space right now, which is entrepreneurs only focusing on the top, which is not the best. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. That's quite a perspective that probably, a lot of people would agree with. So, as we are discussing the landscape, how has the landscape of global trade and commerce changed over the past few years? And what trends should SMBs be aware of? Like you discussed, they are probably concentrating on the top layers, and we are not probably thinking about the investments, the costings. So, what are probably the trends that you think are moving along with the challenges to overcome the same?
Yeah. I mean, when we say past few years, it's the big C, right?
Yeah,
that happened in 2020, right? Which brings a lot
yeah,
of things online. So we have
yeah,
gone through it. We literally, I mean, as well as 10 times as well, we literally see like the whole kind of supply chain space sort of
yeah,
put on pause, right, for a long
yeah,
time. So
yeah,
it kind of forced a lot of businesses to go online as well, which give rise to like tons of apps out there to manage tasks, to manage online meetings and
yeah,
whatnots, right? And there are a lot of technology that sprung out from there, but
yeah,
nothing beats face-to-face sit-down meetings or even
yeah,
stand-up meetings, right? That is basically a fundamental of 10 times as well, right? Is to bring people together to promote, right, international trade, not just maybe domestic trade, by injecting trust, right? Like fundamental of business is trust, right? Economy is as well
yeah,
as trust. So if
yeah,
you bring people together, you can do like tons of online meetings, right? And nothing beats an hour session face to face. I
yeah,
think
yeah.
that's something we
True.
can all agree on, right?
Yeah,
That trust aspect is very, very important, right? Where
yeah, true.
something it can't break. I mean, even in the next 10, 20, 30 years, businesses are still done based on trust. We can't change that, right?
Okay.
So another
Yeah,
thing we've seen in the supply chain space is of course the high interest rate, right? The extra cash is being pushed down. There isn't much cash out there. So there are a lot of changes like implementing 3PLs, what I mean by pick, pack, and ship, right? To maintain a smaller warehouse, your own smaller warehouse. So your 3PLs can be in multiple different locations and that. But of course, you have to do your homework, right? Not every business is suitable for 3PLs. Yeah. Other thing would be like just-in-time inventory. So instead of stocking up much more stock that you will require before 2020, you try to match it as close as possible, right, with your deliveries and your shipments coming in. And if you don't have a robust workflow system to manage your sales, purchase, and everything in between, you wouldn't be able to do as good a just-in-time as possible, right? And another trend that we have seen is about going towards B2B e-commerce, right? It's very different from B2C where you have a website, everyone can just go into your website to look at your pricing and basically drop their orders, right? But B2B is very sensitive, we all know, right? Every customer has their own price list, has their own product offering based on their location, based on this and that, right? And with B2B e-commerce pushing out, we can cut down on manual order taking, which are on the phone, done on the phone, emails, WhatsApp, whatever platforms that you're doing, right? But now when you invite your customers through B2B e-commerce platform, then it cuts down on all this, and at the end, it's about bringing the bottom line down to maximize profit. That is basically what we see in the space right now that is moving towards.
Okay. All right. Thank you for sharing those points. So, how important do you think that trade shows, expos, networking, as we just talked about, right? That events are for the SMBs in importing and exporting sector.
Yeah, like you said, trade shows, expos, networking events, it's all about bringing people together to build trust. Right.
True.
So business is all about trust. 1 hour networking face-to-face session is much better than 5 to 10 like video calls, right? And many times your suppliers are like across the world, right? Across the other side of the world. Whether you are a supplier or you are a buyer, they are like on the opposite side of the world where customs, tradition, the way of doing things are all different, right? You can read like multiple books on how to manage different, but
how
fundamentally, exactly, like I've seen like tons of books in bookstores that are coming out with, how do you manage this country? How do you manage the people from that country? Right. But at the end, right, it's about humans, right? We are all like people, we are all humans, right? Fundamentally, nothing beats like a one-on-one coffee session, right? Together, right? Or not beer session. I can't say beer because some countries are not alcohol friendly, right? So not okay, let's not go there, right? But yeah, nothing beats a coffee session, right?
No
Sit
doubt,
down
no
coffee
doubt.
session.
As you said that, interacting face to face is really important, and probably, though COVID has made us learn that, with miles apart, and even if you were closer, you could connect over video calls and sort your businesses out. But how about what do you think about the hybrid setup of the same? Because that's also a very important factor that's affecting probably global import and exports.
I would say hybrid setup, to me, I'm still a very big proponent on face-to-face, right? But the hybrid setup is perfect for small businesses, especially startup, where cost is a big consideration.
Yes.
Right, because flying to that location, the airfares, booking a hotel, traveling to the location, it adds up, right? And as a small business, you need to maximize every single amount of dollar that you have. Where hybrid setup allows you to also build that connection, right? To find suppliers, to find vendors, to find customers through the online platforms. But at the same time, it allows you to also
So, Benjamin, what advice, as we discuss so many, trends, challenges, all of it. So, what advice would you give SMBs looking to maximize their return on investment from attending industry events?
Yeah, I mean, this is a really good
As
question,
you're a
right?
promoter of face to face, so you will be having some great points to share.
Yeah, and to elaborate again, it's expensive to be physically at the event, especially if
Yeah,
you're exhibiting not in your home country, right? Or you're traveling to another country to visit
yeah,
those events, right? It's expensive. So I think you have heard like tons of suggestions as well, but I'll get down to basics, right? Because we are helping the traditional guys.
yeah,
Very important is to make sure that your marketing collaterals, right? I
yeah,
mean, you have been to like tons of all these events, and you can
yeah,
see sometimes the marketing banners and collaterals are full of text, right, and
yeah,
full of illustration where it just make it so difficult to
yeah,
understand what you are selling as well
yeah.
as what your unique selling proposition is, right?
Yes,
Just
yes,
putting too much information. So just
yeah.
basically go online and find a good designer, right? People are working like you mentioned about hybrid setup, right? People are working online as well as in offices right now where they can create a holistic and well designed marketing collateral for you for a really
Yes,
low
totally
cost.
agree. Yeah,
Right.
yeah,
I mean, you'll be surprised how much a well designed collateral could increase interest, right, in your booth and what you're actually selling, right?
yeah,
But of course,
yeah,
it's about optimizing as well. A lot of sales reps I see try to speak to everyone, but sometimes they're not really looking for your particular product. They're just finding out like what do you actually sell. So your
yeah,
marketing collateral is that thing that helps you to convince the client that or bring that client over to tell them
yeah,
this is exactly what you sell. And of
yeah,
course,
yeah,
I'm more old school. Also, get your sales reps to
yeah,
improve
yes,
on like selling, right? Basically,
yeah.
trying to build a better relationship with
Trying
people.
to meet exactly what the other person is looking for and probably create a solution for it. I totally agree with it, no doubt.
Yeah.
So, while we talk about probably the advice that you've just provided, how do you think that Emerge is leveraging the technology to stay ahead in the competitive market of SMB solutions?
Yeah. Very, very good question. I think AI is a thing, right? Everyone is
Yeah.
hearing AI on a day-to-day basis. But don't forget that our import, export, wholesale trading industry is relatively traditional, right?
Okay.
So the next step for them is to get them to use technology,
Yeah.
right? Let them feel that technology is not so intimidating, not so scary, right? And that's what Emerge is focusing on rather than the haha rara of like using next generation technology, right?
Yeah.
We forgot we are in this technology space. We forgot that most businesses are not tech savvy, right? Either
Yeah.
they are using Excel sheets to run their business or even Google Sheets at time, right? And
Yes.
sometimes I've seen many are still using pen to paper. I'm sure you have seen that almost every day, right?
Yeah.
And what Emerge focuses on is to make technology as simple as possible to use. So every day our focus is to make the Emerge platform as simple
Yeah.
as possible for our
Yeah.
users to try it out, learn the
Yeah.
app, and start
Yeah.
using at an extremely affordable cost to solve their
Yes.
ordering,
Totally agree.
sales, their inventory, production, workflow needs, right? So that is our main focus right now is to make sure that our app is as simple as possible to use.
Yeah, that is great, and I suppose that would definitely help this competitive market. So, Benjamin, any parting thoughts or messages you'd like to share with the audience, especially those navigating the complex world of trade and commerce?
Yeah, so as I mentioned earlier, just to summarize, right, we need to use technology not just to increase the top line, right, where I'm sure a lot of entrepreneurs are really good at selling, right?
Yeah,
Top line isn't a much problem for them. but how do you
Yeah.
use technology to save 10, 20, 30,
Yeah.
40% more profit margin?
Yeah.
Right. I think that's the biggest giveaway I would like to give our listeners and our readers right now. And of course, yeah, I'm really excited to be part of this supply chain with together with 10 times as well. Imagine how much
Yes.
economic value that we can provide just by building
Yeah.
trust in the ecosystem as well as decreasing inefficiencies, right?
Yes, yes, totally agree. Thank you, Benjamin, for joining us. So this concludes today's episode of Eva Talk by 10 Times. Stay tuned for more insightful conversations on the emerging trends and strategies in the events and business landscape. Thank you again, Benjamin. It was great talking to you, talking and again bringing back the very important factor of why events were emerged to network, face to face. That is one thing that we have emphasized on today. So again, yes, the hybrid world is great, but face to face interactions do help. And you can always check out any events that are happening in your related industry on 10 times. So keep tuned, and we'll be back with another episode very soon. Thank you, Benjamin.
Thanks, Rahika.